In the backstory, we discussed some of the paradoxes attending the production of the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave, written by himself. At the time of its publication in 1845, Douglass's monograph solicited multiple contradictory descriptions. It was an autobiography, an act of slave rebellion, and a freedom practice, as well as legal warrant for Douglass's immediate arrest and re-enslavement. When Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey was born into slavery in Talbot County, Maryland, in the second decade of the 19th century, the state did not inscribe his name on a birth certificate. In place of the production of an official, factual record, the state turned Douglass's birth into the raw material for the reproduction of social death. The state inaugurated this condition when it defined slaves as socially kinless and voided of the foundational rights of human personhood, civic life, political liberty. Slave owners conventionally kept tally of slave births in the same way that they kept count of the cattle they bred during seed time or harvest time. Douglass's account of his life added what the state had refused entry in its official archive and thereby subtracted his body from the slave master's register of chattel possessions. Douglass's reflections on the significance of the facts of his life also contradicted the instructions of white abolitionists with whom he shared lyceum platforms. Give us the facts, Frederick. We'll take care of the philosophy. But in writing the facts surrounding his escape from slavery, Douglass also risked losing his freedom in two ways. Quite literally, through capture, but also experientially, through the repetition of the traumas his narrative remembers. As he wrote about his life as a slave, his acts of memory themselves became occasions for his being returned to this insupportable condition. When Douglass recalls, "My feet have been so cracked with the frost that the pen with which I am writing might be laid in the gashes." We are made to feel the paradoxical standing of Douglass's freedom. As we read these sentences, we apprehend the presence of slavery inscribed on the body of the man whose writing gives representation to his freedom. We simultaneously feel what is fugitive and radically precarious about this freedom. Douglass's freedom was not secured by any juridical measure that the state was willing to enforce. The state did not want Douglass's freedom. The state wanted his body, dead or alive. The most significant aspect of Douglass's narrative is not evidenced in any of the facts he narrated, but in his refusal to supply the facts of perhaps the most significant event in his life, his escape from slavery. "I now come to that part of my life," he writes, "during which I planned and finally succeeded in making my escape from slavery." But before narrating any of the peculiar circumstances, I deem it proper to make known my intention not to state all the facts connected with the transaction. Paradoxically, Douglass has registered his quintessential freedom of expression by withholding facts concerning his passage to freedom. Douglass has refused to provide all the facts surrounding his escape from slavery, that is to say, until his readers resolve to bring an end to the reproduction of social death that continues to haunt us to this day.